Andy Staples here coming up in a couple of minutes. I mean, do we really have to talk about this every single day? I mean, we understand that the news cycle is moving. Yesterday, the Pac-12 and the Big Ten announced that they were suspending the seasons. It's not going to happen in the fall for both of those leagues. The Big 12 met. They're moving forward. Right now, the ACC, the SEC, Big 12, 6 out of the 10 Division I conferences are saying that they're going to play football. And we're going to talk to Andy Staples about it. I mean, is there anything that you want to add to that?
I think there were some key things developed, some key details revealed yesterday that maybe show that a conference like the Pac-12 is so different in their operation and how they've been handling this than places like the SEC and the Big 12. I mean, I think that the Pac-12 players released a statement yesterday that gives you an idea of how badly mishandled this was by the Pac-12. I also think that the kind of power dynamics of yesterday's moves are interesting, right? Because the Pac-12 and Big Ten came out and they shut down citing medical advice. That applies pressure to the remaining 3 conferences. Not immediate pressure necessarily, but what that does do is if in the future, if you played and a nightmare scenario came to pass and you had like a kid pass or something, right? Well, all of a sudden, that would be a tough defense for these other conferences to kind of wade through, because if you're the Pac-12 or the Big Ten, people will point to them and be like, look, they had the leaders who had the cojones to go out there and make a tough decision like that. You did not. Now, look, I don't think there's any guarantee that nightmare scenario happens. I mean, some people will point to the raw data from the general public that says that on the math says it will happen, but I don't think the raw data from the general public applies to the type of environments that the players will be in the SEC, especially given how stringent the testing is. So all this is a very long way of saying is they essentially applied some medical pressure, I think, to those other 3 conferences, and that's why someone like, what's his name here, Dr. Cameron Wolf is key for the ACC and the SEC going forward. He is the chairman of the ACC Medical Advisory Group. He's a Duke infectious disease specialist, and he told Sports Business Daily he felt that a season could be played. Also, Jordy, to your point, I thought a lot of these heart concerns were newer, and Dr. Burnham also said that they've kind of been on the radar for a while now, and the ACC said the same thing, that no new medical information has come to light. That's what Dr. Wolf said. And since the schedule release last week, and that's where a lot of the frustration with the Pac-12 and the Big Ten comes for. That's where the frustration comes from, right? And it's also one of the reasons why the ACC feels confident moving forward. The SEC's been testing for cardiac problems after kids test positive, right? And they will continue to do so. And again, in Ross's article, where he talks about the potential heart problems of COVID, the doctor talking about them says that he believes that a season could be played. You just have to be more careful in how you approach a positive test, even if it's asymptomatic, and add layers of testing that it sounds like the SEC was already engaged in, whereas it looks like, Jordy, and I'm not going to speak on the Big Ten right now, but as far as the Pac-12 goes, it looks like the main thing there is they didn't even really try.
Well, they were unprepared.
Yes, woefully unprepared, which is crazy because we've been in this for 6 months.
It looks to a point where, I mean, it was deceptive whether or not there was any type of plan ever put in place, right? I mean, it looks like
it does not look like a plan was ever put. That's why the Pac-12 players were holding out in the first place, because they were like, look, y'all haven't given us any protocol.
But see,
we need some form of protection here.
Here's really where the argument starts for me on this whole episode of where we are is really and truly, where is the leadership? And who do I point to or ask the questions? As I sit here and tell you and talking to this microphone for whatever day this is, the number of days that we've been talking about this in a row, what is this, 2-3 weeks? We've known something's coming. I mean, you knew some type of decision was going to happen at some point if you're at the elite levels, if you're at the upper levels of this type of management. I don't know if it's Mark Emmert. I don't know if it's Greg Sankey.
Well, no, the NCAA is a joke. What is the NCAA? They're nothing.
It's spineless. Like, they don't even have a plan put in place for the people that are saying that they have spring sports, that they want to do a spring league. They're asking, what do we do? Do we work out in the fall? What about the spring? They don't have a plan in place right now to even give to the institutions on what it's going to look like. what it's going to feel like, how they're going to work out, what's going to be the plan, where's the money going to come from, what's going to happen to the programs that count so much on football in the fall. I saw Barry Alvarez out talking about what Wisconsin football means to not only the community, to the campus, to the programs. I mean, we've known all about that. Dr. Lauren Scott has told us about what that means to Baton Rouge. That's hitting communities now. But where is the leadership? Where is the leadership? And then you look at what's going on with the Pac-12 and their inability to have a plan. I mean, I would say that this looks like insubordination from the Pac-12 committee and Pac-12 commissioner and the Pac-12 board of members. I mean, what have you been doing? I mean, it's taken your players 48 hours to unionize and come together and put out a statement that tells me everything I need to know about their stance and how they feel. And I can't get any direction from suits and ties that make millions of dollars? You're damn right they have an argument as a player.
It's one of those situations where, at best, the Pac-12's handling of this just seems like very inadequate, kind of amateur. And at worst, then it looks like it's almost is on purpose. But I don't think it is. I think it is just, I think they just didn't prepare for any of this. Okay, so this is a long statement. This is what, and remember that Pac-12 medical report that was supposed to be a bombshell that they were going to release. I was kind of shocked when you read about it. They released the doctor's recommendations, and this is from University of Utah Dr. Dave Petra, and he says, quote, "Stop contact competitive activities at this time until criteria are in place to move forward, including testing protocol," which means they don't have any testing protocol, which is wild. Now it is now I should say, it's one of my frustrations with even the SEC and stuff is that they're doing it on a school-by-school basis. I think they recently released some more conference-wide guidelines. I would have liked the SEC to maybe have been a bit more forward-thinking with getting everybody on the exact same page under a single protocol. But it didn't seem like the Pac-12 did anything. It seems like they left it up to their schools, and their schools just didn't do it. And here's a long statement from Pac-12 players. I'm going to read it all because I think it's all worth reading for this. Quote, "It is obvious," and this is the players released this letter after the news yesterday. "It is obvious that the Pac-12 was woefully unprepared to protect college athlete safety in response to COVID-19 and could not address the basic and essential safety demands made, but we are united. After haphazardly trying to place the health of college athletes in jeopardy by having a season without safety mandates, the Pac-12 has now abruptly canceled the season with no transparency, no communication with the college athletes impacted. The Pac-12's failures have made it clear that the time for change is now. The system is broken. College athletes deserve and need a real voice in the form of a players' association. Our desire has always been to play football, and we recognize all of the other athletes whose season have been affected. We have all put in tremendous work to play this season and wanted to play. We are disappointed in the Pac-12 and NCAA leaders who failed to use the preceding months to prioritize our health and safety and give us the best chance at having a successful season. It was obvious, however, that the Pac-12 was more concerned with stifling our ability to organize and in protecting the institution of exploiting college athletes and protecting our safety." And here's the big line that, as we said, nothing underscores the reason we chose to unite together and demand systemic change more than what we have endured in this attempted return to football. So, again, if they thought that they were protecting amateurism by pushing back this season, all of this has just served as a catalyst for the complete opposite. And now you have Pac-12 players who made it very clear they are highly motivated to make a players association, and with no football season, yes, they will still be working out and on campus and in a better environment than being at home. But with no football season, they now have a ton of free time to commit to that goal of creating a union. So all of this has made that feel like it was always an inevitability, but it has sped up the timeline significantly. And all those statements show you that they did not put in the work like Shelley Mullenix did at LSU, where you hear Jim Harbaugh talk about how they haven't had a positive case in 8 weeks among their staff or support staff, and last 353 tests have been negative. The ACC says they feel comfortable moving forward because their schools are reporting zero positive, and because they put in the work. It doesn't seem like the Pac-12 did.
We will talk more about college football with Andy Staples coming up next from The Athletic.